18. So it starts and finishes with 18. Because the best part of that workout was the last 10 clean and jerks.
Yeah.
Bam,
So
we're live.
18, I think maybe it would have to have been
It's ugly,
15,
but maybe 9.
15, 30, 15, or
13,
12,
45.
36, 12. Yeah, 15, 45. Something along those lines. Pat screwed the pooch. He fucked the pooch.
Macro, Marco Calderon, Olivia's a beast. Should be proud. Absolutely. Heidi Kroom, terrible camera work. Oh, you're being too nice. Didn't even get to see Cara finish or the race with Barnhart and Annie. I mean, people were when someone's crossing the finish line, you can't cut. You guys really underestimated Ellie in your prediction. She killed it.
I don't think so.
I literally picked her to win.
Brandon Waddell, agree. Heidi. Yes, lousy all weekend. I'm so bummed. Pat imploded. I will say this. I misspoke. I wrote in the text that Emma imploded. She actually never imploded. She paced herself great to her ability, and we actually didn't see her implode. She should be proud. I mean, she handled her business.
I was sitting with Khalifa. We were talking about it right before the event went out, and I said, if Ellie Turner takes 3rd to 5th in this workout, which I think she can, I'm thinking Lawson's going to be like 9th to 13th, and it's going to be within 5 points. And it sounds like it's within 5 points.
Can you bring up the women's leaderboard, Souza? Is it up? Elise Bone, agree, Heidi. Richard Holton, bam, we're live. I third that Heidi Kroom, and here is, in real time. There it is.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Tie.
Emma
tie.
Did, oh,
Wow.
my goodness.
Tie.
Oh, my goodness.
Points tie.
Oh,
Emma's got a victory.
See, man.
Wow. She has 2.
Brian, will you explain to us what's going on here with 3rd and 4th place?
Yeah. So we knew that it was really close, and there were some times from Heat 1 that factored in. So it looks like if we scroll all the way to the right, Emma Lawson ended up finishing, I think it was 13th, which was that was the worst I thought she would do. But Olivia Kerstetter's time from Heat 1, which was 2nd place overall, was the 5th. That's what I was talking about. That's the type of workout where an athlete who's not relevant in terms of the podium race can affect the podium result. These are the reasons why we, in general, don't like to see cuts late in the competition, because Olivia Kerstetter qualified for this, earned the right to be here. She got to see the whole thing out, and her performance there, which was very noteworthy, incredibly impressive, ended up making a difference here. Because Emma Lawson and Ellie Turner tied on points with 470, it goes to the traditional tiebreaker, which is best event finish. Just looking across the board, we can see that Emma Lawson had 2 event wins. Ellie Turner had none. So Emma Lawson is going to be standing on the podium at 17 years old at the Rogue Invitational, and that is incredibly impressive. Very, very cool.
Almost impressive as Victor Brown's donation to the show. Thanks, buddy. That rope is high. I hope you're using a crash pad. Phenomenal work by the whole crew this weekend. Sevi, 100-pound dumbbell snatches. Let's go. Can we scroll down and see, or can you organize that event by winners? That event
donations. 10? Head on over to bestbuy.com and pick up a dumbbell.
Yes, Hiller said it. Cara Saunders first, Olivia Kerstetter second place. She won her heat and she took second place. Before we talk about how impressive Kerstetter is, Cara Saunders is for some reason I thought that she was going to kind of just drift off into the sunset. Is she going to make another run at the games? Anyone know?
I have a reason to believe that the upcoming season will be her last.
Who?
Cara Saunders. Okay. And what do you think? Does that mean she's going to give it her all? You know, that this is my last season. I'm going to give it my all.
I mean, I guess. What did she end up finishing overall in the competition?
Good question.
7th.
Let me see if I have her.
So
I have her phone number.
Wasn't she 7th at the games, 7th at Rogue? I mean, that's pretty good. She still can hang with some of the best women.
Spiegel really shit the bed on that last workout. It was Spiegel's to lose.
You guys have to like pretend like you're running the show while I'm typing. Okay, I invited.
Don't worry, I was carrying it with the Spiegel commentary.
Thank you, Hiller.
I smell something. I can also fill in with. I'm very let down that Cole Sager beat me by 3 seconds.
Well, that means you also lost to John Young because he texted me a while ago and said that he beat Cole Sager. So
when did he do it?
Within the last month or two.
I bet he warmed up and everything.
Pussy, no warm up.
I can see John Young doing well on this workout.
Souza, sorry, could you scroll over?
Chef.
I want to 10th place. Or the 10th event. I want to see. Okay, so Cara Saunders first, Olivia Kerstetter second, Laura Horvath third, Ellie Turner fourth, Danny Spiegel fifth, Amanda Barnhart sixth, Annie Thorsdottir 7th place. No knock on Annie. That is a tough crew of women who are extremely strong from shoulder to overhead. I did see Danny Spiegel move to her last bar. They were showing her, and she never looked over to her left to see who was walking with her. She was looking down at the ground. I suspect she had no idea Kerstetter was there.
Maybe, but with the last 3 reps, she knew, and she actually went to do her last rep at the same time Olivia did after a really short break after rep 29. She failed the jerk. Olivia hit it. So there's the 5 points right there. I mean, that could.
What did her fail look like, JR? I missed that. Did it come all the way to the ground or just a re-rack?
She missed the lockout and then just dropped it.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So it was going to be a foot race.
And what JR is saying is if Spiegel hits that jerk, if she does not fail that jerk, then Ellie Turner is on the podium. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Explain that to me. Scroll back up and put them in the right order. Explain that to me.
I don't think so. I don't think it would have mattered.
Well, she ended up finishing. Go ahead.
Oh, you think she would have beaten Turner?
Correct.
On that workout. He's changed the graphic there. She would have beaten Turner. Lawson's on the podium anyway, so it wouldn't have made a difference.
Well, in money, it would have pushed her down a spot, right? No. Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah, Turner would have been 4th. It just wouldn't have been a points test. She would have been 5 points behind her. So
Paul Richards, 1999, hardest working men in showbiz. Thanks, guys. I was just thinking about. I've been in my office now for 4 days. It's kind of crazy. I really appreciate the loot. Cute dog. Jacqueline Robertson from Canada, most generous person in Canada. Thank you so much. 20 Canadian dollars. Tom Guerin again. $5. Watching Hillary do the workout live made me realize this is the 2022 version of the old
.com. It is .com.
Okay, watching Hillary do the workouts live made me realize this is the 2022 version of the
old .com comment sections. Viva la Puke.
Thank you.
That's cool.
You guys should know, as I've stated before, Pukey is dead. The programmer for CrossFit is now gone.
Not actually dead.
Fired. Well, he wrote his Pukey.
That's what
but
you said. Yeah.
I really wish I could figure out how to send non-totalitarian Canadian dollars. Thank you. I appreciate that. AC 5 UK pounds sterlings for the Pat Fund. Thank you. Oh, could we send Patrick Vellner a link also, Souza, and see maybe if we can get on? I did send Caity Motter a link and Cara Saunders.
Remember earlier how we were trying to figure out which event was the most correlative to the overall leaderboard? I think that this final might be it. It's pretty close. I mean, there's a whole bunch of single digits towards the top of the leaderboard when filtered that way.
I don't think so. I mean, Emma Lawson's 3rd. She's 13th in this workout. It's
well, which other workouts are closer? Maybe event 2?
Maybe. I mean,
event 4 is pretty close. It looks like event 4.
Organize them by event 4. Organize them by event 4 real quick for us, Souza. As Hiller calls them out. Let's see. This is interesting.
Well, no, you just look at it and you can see. So like right now, 1st through, okay. 1st, 8th, 4th, 5th, 2nd, 6th, probably event 4.
We lose Emma Lawson somewhere.
We lose her a lot. We also lost her on event 10.
JR, can we organize them 1st through 10th in the ranking? JR, what do you see in the top 5 finishers at the 2022 Rogue Invitational? What can you tell us for the athletes who want to compete here and in competitions?
Well, just what we try to look for when we look at competitions that have at least 7 to 8 workouts. This one has 10. Who was able to finish top 10 on all of them? And the only person that can do that was Annie. She finished in 2nd, but Laura won 4 events. So, Laura had a 14th and a 19th, but she had 4 wins. So
And he got an
someone
11th.
Thank you. Sorry, I missed it at the end.
But still,
Close, though. Close.
still, it's tied. It's tied with the worst finish in the. It's tied with.
It's tied as the best worst finish. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. It's tied for the best worst finish in the top 5. So she pretty much fit into JR's plan. JR, do you think? Does that say that something's wrong with the programming?
No, I don't think that. I don't think that speaks to it. I mean, if you look just on the screen at the top 9, it's a lot of the same people that we expected. Maybe the order's a little bit different, but I will say that we can say that the last workout was probably the 4th strength test of 10.
What I would say about this programming is what I said earlier is, man, it was, if nothing else, this was such a fun competition. When so many things can change workout to workout, and it's happening in both the men's and women's division, that's like, and you talk about a showcase, that is really putting on a show. And this was super entertaining for the fans. I think it was a lot of drama for the athletes because they saw these big swings happening. And it was, some of it was predictable, but some of it was not predictable. Overall, I thought the entertainment value here was extremely high.
Okay, Brian, so you bring up the question that's been going on forever that was very difficult to answer while Rich Froning, Matt Fraser, and Tia Toomey have been around. Can you program someone out of, let's specifically talk about the CrossFit Games, out of the CrossFit Games, or can you not? You're saying it was great programming, but maybe it's just because we didn't have Tia, Matt, or Rich here.
I don't think he said that.
Great, because there's somebody...
I don't want to say that
because those guys can't be programmed out of an event.
When there's a field where there is the potential for multiple people to win and multiple people to podium, and it's not, even at the games this year on the men's side, yes, it was tight 1, 2, 3, but like those 3 guys were pretty well clear of the field. Here we saw dramatic changes in the lead overall. We saw a lot of athletes with an opportunity to make podium runs, even coming into the last workout. There was and it's drama. Yes, when there's someone that's as dominant as those athletes you listed are, it's really the programming doesn't matter much. They're just so good and so far ahead. But right now there's a shift happening, and even though Justin did win today, there's belief amongst these guys that it can be done, and that I think that's important for the sport going into this next season.
You're saying that Justin left some blood in the water.
Yeah, these guys, I mean, dude, Pat's sitting right down here on the field and his head is still in his hands. Like, he knows that it was right there. He went too hard on the middle 10 reps. And you got to look at Roman and wonder what happened in event 9. Absent that event, he might be sitting on top of this podium. Jeff Adler,
hey, Brian,
Taylor Smith.
We actually talked to Snorri before this last workout, and we asked him about Roman in the workout prior. And he said, simple as that, he just dumped. He had a carb dump. He hadn't fueled properly, and he had no juice on that workout. None. He was just underfed.
Wow. Who's his? Does he have a coach?
Like a nutrition coach?
Or just a coach out there, like someone who's carrying a bag of food?
Yeah. Nick Fowler is here with him.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, he was just saying.
Experienced coaches that there is.
Yeah, he was just saying that Roman severely undercounted his macros going into that workout, and he just had no juice.
Wow, crazy. Okay. Great coverage all weekend. Thanks, gents. John G, $15. Thank you, John. Great profile pick. Teresa Harvey, looks like she's competed herself. Not so bad. $20. Awesome coverage all weekend. We love you guys. Thank you. Means a lot. We are trying our hardest. Dallas Canyon, $9.99. Always happy to support my friends that I've never met. Thanks for the coverage, guys. Thanks for considering us friends. Martin Graham.
That's freaking me.
$19.99. Always the best coverage and analysis. What a great crew you've put together, Sevan. You all are the best. To be honest, I don't know how this happens. I wish I could take credit for it, but I don't know how it happens. Allison Hogg, Allison Hogg, 5 pounds. From the United Kingdom. Love you all. Thanks for the greatest weekend coverage from the London, UK. You're very welcome, and thank you for your special silver money. Going back to the leaderboard, one more very interesting thing about this.
Watching without Matt and Tia. I was answering Get With The Programming. Sorry, Sevan.
Sorry, say that again, Hiller.
There's a Get With The Programming and a comment in here whether or not it's more fun to watch this with or without Matt and Tia. it's way more fun without, in my opinion.
Interesting. Do you have an opinion
Only
on that?
because I constantly want the person who always wins to get beaten. And I think it's always possible. And Medeiros came out on top, but Fraser was always so far ahead, it was never possible. I think it's good for everyone to see. And it's also cool to see him win. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's cool to see him win in the last second because he paced it so well.
What do you think, Taylor? More or less fun with Tia, Matt, not in the picture?
More fun.
Brian? More or less fun with Matt and Tia not in the picture?
I don't think it's so bad to have a dominant athlete from time to time, but because we've had so much dominance in the last decade, this I think is needed for this sport. So important timing to have parity like this and competitions that come down to the wire.
J.R. Howell, fun, more fun with Matt and Tia gone, not in the mix.
Yeah, more exciting, more fun to watch for sure.
I think if you're a new fan, I think it's good for the sport that there are dynasties. I think it draws a lot of attention to it. People start to pay attention. But for those of us who are in it, we like to see the races. Hiller, go ahead.
Well, how about Froning's final year? That was one of his most exciting years. And it's because he was being pushed up until that last day. And it's kind of like what Justin's always doing. I'd say what Justin is doing is great. He's always like, everyone's like thinking they can beat him. And what was it, Brian, that said there's blood in the water? I mean, Pat was right there. Everyone was kind of right there. They just fucked up, and he didn't. And that's something we were also talking about all weekend. He just doesn't mess up all that often.
I am Hop, $20. Thanks, guys. Thank you, dude. I want to go back to the women's leaderboard, and I want to point something out that we talked about earlier in the weekend. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong, and I said this before, but what you are looking at in Laura Horvat is the greatest CrossFitter who ever lived with the largest hole. There's no one else even comes to mind. It is a bizarre phenomenon.
Handstand walking.
But she fixed it, right? She fixed it quickly.
She did.
I think Sam Briggs's strength, which was also her shortcoming, was also not as big of a hole as this. Brian, do you have an opinion on that?
No, I think you're on the money. I mean, Laura Horvat is quickly ascending the ranks of all-time females in the space, and she does, if you put her on just on paper against those other top 5 or 6 women of all time, none of them have something like that.
Yeah.
Sevan.
Yes.
Katrin and strict upper body pulling won the games twice, but still had and still does have that hole.
But could do it.
I'd like to. That would be a good study to have a comparison. We can just say take a movement like a ring muscle up or a pegboard. Look at Katrin's finishes on those workouts relative to Laura's finishes on strict handstand push-up workout. But that is a good. I mean, if you're trying to find someone that's comparable, Katrin is a potential candidate.
Anyone in the men's field?
You're started like you're basically asking about Fraser, Froning, Ben Smith, Vellner,
Scott Panchik,
AKG, Panchik, and none of those guys comes to mind as having something that's that bad for them. I mean, maybe.
How about Josh Bridges? Maybe
have Vellner in swimming. Actually, that might be one.
Very interesting. Okay, yeah. Kate says Pat can't swim. Maybe that should be a shirt. And Pat's overhead has now exposed him in 2 competitions.
Yeah, shoulder rope climbs at one point.
Yeah,
shoulder to overhead.
The shoulder to overhead, the games was a lot more concerning to me than this. I mean, this is like you got to keep in mind. Vellner comes into the sport, and he is one of the 5 best that we've ever seen. I think, but he had to go against Fraser, and it's just losing after losing after losing. He did win the Rogan Invitational one year, but it was an online competition. He has not won a live competition outside of Wadapalooza of this prestige. And coming into this workout, he knows if I beat Justin, the chances are high that I win this workout. And if you watched closely him, and I don't know what was able to be seen at home, through the first 10 reps, he was pacing well. In the second 10 reps, he accelerated and took a lead over Justin. And everyone was getting excited. I mean, you could feel it. And when as soon as I think it was rep 3 or 4 in the set of 10, I was like, oh no. It's not. He doesn't have it for the last 5. You have to have it for the last 5. Justin outpaced him and outgamed him again, and it was honestly, it was devastating because I would have loved to see this guy win a big competition like this.
You would have busted a nut. Anthony TPA, $5. Great show, gentlemen. Killed it like always. Thank you for having Brian on instead of John Young. Jeez Louise. I'm going to bring John Young on just for that.
Brendan should be ashamed.
Europa Chronicles, I think the judging really left some stuff to be desired and negatively affected the overall results. Event should use fewer but better judges, not one per movement.
Me and JR
Andrew
talked
Hiller.
about this.
Okay,
Go ahead, Andrew.
Taylor. Go ahead.
No, Hiller, go first.
No. Taylor, you got something.
Well, I pointed out in this last event to JR, I was like, dude, there are 30 judges on the floor. And he was like, yeah, I think that's a little excessive. Think about this. You have one athlete who's, to JR was making this point, locking out rep number 19 of 20. And it's a soft lockout. And the judge is giving it to him. They hit that rep, hit the 20th rep. They move on to the next platform, the next judge. And then the judge all of a sudden just stops giving it to him. Or at any other point in any other of the workouts. You know, the judging is inconsistent across judge to judge within the same event. That's just tough. And I think it's unnecessary.
Did you see that actual example, or is that just hypothetical?
That was hypothetical. I didn't see that actual example.
Okay.
You talking about one athlete from round to round, or athlete to athlete?
One athlete from round to round.
As they moved
it. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, so the difference in this last workout is that, you know, what you had said, Taylor, was they have one judge per movement, but in this workout there were 3 judges on the same movement. And so usually when you take the floor, I mean, you know, it is human judgment at the end of the day. And when you go on the floor as an athlete, usually what you're trying to do is establish some kind of familiarity with your judge. So you understand, I can move like this and I can get the rep, but if I do this, I won't get the rep. Depending on the workout, you learn that faster or slower. In this workout, you could be establishing a movement pattern that's getting you credit for the reps and then advance to the next platform and move the same way and not get the credit for the reps. So that's where in this particular workout at the end, I'm not sure that having 30 judges on the floor made much sense.
Let's look at it this way. In the parallel handstand push-up workout, you get a new judge every round. You get a new judge every time you go to the wall for the strict handstand push-ups. Think about that. So if you have someone that's giving you a foot width position that's questionable, and then the next round you have a new judge step in, and they're a little bit more strict on that, when you had just given it on the round previous, that's a huge difference. It's a different set of eyes looking at the same movement.
Just bring that comment you're about to bring up, Sevan, when you're ready.
I will. I'll let Brian go real quick, and then I will.
Now, the one counter argument to what I said earlier is if you do have a judge who's giving soft reps in round 1, reps 1 through 10, they're not going to be giving. They won't have the opportunity to give the reps the rest away. Okay, I'll shut up.
Let me bring up my Caity Henngier notes. Caity, hi.
Hey guys.
Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
Is the award ceremony going on?
It just ended.
How relieved are you?
I'll tell you tomorrow.
Because you're not relieved until cleanup's done. What's up?
No, the event just ended, so I haven't really had a chance to process anything.
Is this the last thing on your list? Like you got this whole list of things to do, and you're like, oh fuck, Sevan Podcast. Okay, last thing.
No, we still have to clean up, like you mentioned. So I still have a few days of work.
Is that how long it will take? A couple days to haul all that stuff back?
Yeah, I think we won't get out of here till Thursday or Friday.
Where do you what happens to the 17,000 pound piece of equipment that is the Rogue roller coaster? What do you guys do with that?
We have a full warehouse for all our event gear, so it'll just go back and sit there until we need it again.
Wow. And when you build something like that, do you guys think about that ahead of time? Like, okay, this thing is something that's going to be around.
Yeah, I think you'd like to see many variations of that. I think it was a great event, especially the coaster. So you're going to see it again for Strongman for sure.
Do other people reach out to you, other Strongman events, and they're like, "Oh, Caity, Bill, can you bring that to XYZ event?"
Yeah, some of that stuff, but we try to reserve it obviously for the Invitational here, and then supporting the Arnold Strongman show as well.
Those are the 2 big shows.
Yeah.
That white material that was on the boxes, that I'd never seen that before. Is that a different material than the rest of the box?
Yeah, we put that on after we had some moisture from the rain and in the morning, so it's got some texture to it, so they wouldn't slip.
Is it like felt?
No, it's almost like sandpaper.
Okay. There's a guy here in our comments named Dick Butter, and he's been banned on your YouTube comments. Could you unban him?
No.
No. Okay. Sorry. I tried Mr. Butter. The secrecy around the events. That was bold, right, guys? Thank you. Hello. Clap for Sevan. Thank you. The secrecy around the events as we're trying to find out where it's going to be, what the events are. Do you guys find that endearing or do you find that annoying?
It's not annoying, but we want it to be about the athletes. So getting leaked and then having multiple people dissect it before the athletes even get it, we just want it to be a fair event, and we are really going to hold the line on that.
Okay. Well, yeah. So it doesn't bother you that we're also, though, trying to figure it out and speculate and sneak photos, etc. It's part of the game.
Speculate away.
Speculate away. Okay.
Did you pick the last event? Did anybody get it right?
No.
I got it right about 2 months ago.
We weren't
not even
very
close.
close at all on that one.
A matter of fact, the group was saying that they hope they don't see a barbell, and then as soon as they saw the event, all four of them were like, "This is the greatest event ever. We love this." I'm like, "Wait, what happened to our stance on the barbell?"
I think for as much work as they did, and to watch those guys, like 313 is crazy for as much volume as they had this weekend.
Some of the programmers talk about like having marquee events and then slotting things in around it. Was the final one of the first, last, or middle events that you guys slotted in this time around?
It was probably in the middle, but it didn't become the final event until we started to figure out the schedule. But with the way the scoring worked out, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a more epic ending on the men's race.
I agree.
Well done.
Two of the events that had two of the events that were time capped, no women finished and men finished. Why the discrepancy in the men's test? I'm guessing that was a testing thing. Why the discrepancy in the men's testing and the women's testing?
I think testing with the hill is hard because we don't obviously have this hill anywhere we test. So and then the volume of which we had the athletes. So when we had it tested, they were doing a single workout in a single day, not at the end of a long weekend.
That being said, the logs could not have been any more perfect. The logs worked out like to the T. How exciting was that?
I'm really excited. We were definitely, it's an event we wanted to do, but we wanted to keep them safe as well, and that's why we released it a couple weeks early so that they could practice. And so when they came out here, they weren't nervous and trying to figure it out, on the first lift. And I thought they did an amazing job adjusting. We had a couple of the strongmen call the event, and hearing them talk about how quickly these athletes pick up things and get better rep by rep, that's pretty cool to watch.
Does Danny Spiegel win that log?
I don't know,
Yes.
but that was, she wasn't going to go, and I had Drake go out and ask her if she wanted to go, and she looked at the metal log and said, "No, I'm good." And he goes, "Well, you can do 10 more pounds and do the wood log," and she didn't even hesitate. And that was just, what a freaking way to end that thing.
Yeah, that was insane. Brian, were you going to ask another question?
Well, you mentioned the drama of the men's final. We noticed throughout the weekend that there were just these massive changes. 60 points Medeiros would make up on Roman. He'd give 70 away. Laura would give 80 points away here. Is that something that surprised you as you watched the leaderboard over, event to event?
Yeah, I think the as many changes as we had, I didn't expect that throughout the weekend. But for the spectators here and everybody watching, that's the race you want to see, right? And even for the athletes, while they don't like it and they're nervous, they performed. It raises the bar for sure.
When you started the programming and laying the landscape for the event, did you know right away, okay, 10 events?
We were at 9, and then we added the trail.
Okay.
I know there's no way that you can see the comment section on the YouTube page, but something we've heard all weekend is how the CrossFitters and the strongmen are going back and forth. And Rogue is a company that came up with CrossFit and kind of is now like this giant entity. And I've kind of seen this as something that you're doing to support both the CrossFit and the strongman communities. And I'm curious if there's any sort of thought on your end that you're trying to like intermingle them and maybe bring in powerlifting as well. Like rising tide raises all ships.
I think the Invitational the last 2 years has been about CrossFit and strongman, but for us, it's really about the entire iron game. You're going to bring in powerlifting, you're going to bring in Olympic weightlifting, and anybody that touches a barbell, that's what we want to promote, and we want to help grow those sports. And if we get more people doing that, you're going to see amazing events that pop out of this. It won't just be the Invitational.
Bodybuilding?
What'd you say?
Bodybuilding.
You'll see bodybuilding at the Arnold.
Got it. Thank you.
You won the 2008 CrossFit Games. You competed in 2009 CrossFit Games. You've seen it all from the very beginning. Is Justin Medeiros the beginning of another dynasty? Are we seeing another Tia Toomey, Matt Fraser, Rich Froning type character here?
I think until he's beat, you have to say it. I mean,
yeah.
he moves really well. He's got a great mindset. His approach to training, yes. So my short answer is yes.
Thank you. We see eye to eye almost on everything. You and I see eye to eye on everything. Someone said in the comments, I quote this exactly: Caity treats Sevan the same way Dave does. What do they mean by that, Caity?
I don't know. I hold you accountable.
Okay, that's fair enough. Mr. Howell, do you have a question for Miss Motter?
Yeah, I do actually.
Sorry, Miss Henngier.
Yeah, so actually you said that there are some implements like the Roga Coaster, maybe the hill in general as being things that you just want to reserve for the Rogue Invitational. You don't want to let it be used for other competitions. Are there also some implements that have only been showcased at the games that you don't want to use at the Rogue Invitational, like maybe the pig or the snail or something like that?
Yeah, I think that's across the board. Stuff that you see at the games, we try to keep as a unique implement there. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't do it, but for now, we like to have unique things in different areas. It's just like for strongman at the Arnold, you see some different implements that we probably wouldn't use here, just to keep the two events separate and to make a better show so that you're not seeing the same events over and over.
Right. Along those lines, did you consider coming up with a new style or version or build of the monkey bars for this competition?
We didn't consider it for this competition, but it could definitely be in the playbook for sure.
Do you have drawings of interesting monkey bar sets that?
We have a lot of drawings we haven't used yet.
Taylor, Self, would you like to address Miss Motter in this? Miss Henngier in this rare opportunity to interact with her?
Just a question about the overall programming from the event. Obviously, a ton of weightlifting. Is that something that you just want unique to Rogue, being the barbell company, or is that something you guys looked at overall?
We didn't look at that at all. I mean, like we talked about earlier in the weekend, just collaboration between Chris, Josh, Bill, and I, and putting on the best event. It's not about what you're going to sell. It's about the event.
Yeah, how dare you? I apologize.
Which event was your favorite? Did you have a favorite event this weekend to watch? Program beforehand?
We talked about the women didn't finish. The way that the flow of the goblet was, I really enjoyed the flow of that workout and how that went, at least on the men's side. I'm not sure you can beat Spiegel or Adler on this last event, just in terms of being a spectator with it.
Did you ever consider at all in the flow of the goblet? Was it ever a possibility to think about letting them run up the hill to the goblet, do their squats, leave it there, and then run back down the hill?
No, just for some safety purposes. We wouldn't do anything besides a pull or a run up the sleeve. Can you guys see it? I'm actually sitting on it.
Yeah, it's cool. It is crazy steep. How did you determine the steepness of it?
We wanted to have a nice grade to it. Saw a few drawings and just we picked the one that we thought would be best. Honestly, when we got here last year, we were like, oh, it's a little bit steeper than we thought when we saw it in person. But it seemed to work out well. The athletes obviously on that workout today said it was a grind. You saw some of them walking up, using their hands, trying to trudge up this thing. But I think if it stays in this venue, you got to have something out here. Maybe it'll be higher next year. Maybe it'll be different. But we really enjoyed it.
That thing packs up into a box and you just take that home with you? That hill?
No, this isn't ours.
Oh.
But I think I keep getting eyeballs because I think they want to tear it down. So
okay.
It'll be down tonight.
Does anyone else have any more questions before I let Matt Souza ask a question?
I got one more. Obviously, Caity, you've been around the top end of the sport for a long time, and we still have athletes like Annie and Cara out here doing incredible things. But we also have Emma Lawson and Olivia Kerstetter. You know, did you get a chance to hang out with them at all? How impressed are you by what they can do at 16 and 17 years old?
I had a couple moments this weekend where I was watching Annie and Cara, and I just thought to myself, like, the time that they put in and the elite level that they've been in for so long is so cool. I'm actually getting goosebumps right now talking about it. But then on this last workout, watching Olivia just crush it at 16, there's obviously a lot of foundational and base that she needs to work on, and that's just going to come with time. She's not going to have it right now, but there's glimpses of what you're going to see that she's going to be an amazing athlete. And if you look at Emma, I think Emma is setting herself out there as someone that really wants it, and she's got everything in the toolkit. She's just got to go.
Caity, I'd like to introduce you to Matt Souza, the executive producer of the Sevan Podcast. He has a question for you.
Hi, Caity. Congratulations on an awesome weekend. Quick question: When can we get you scheduled for a full interview here? I'd love to hear an inlay.
Brilliant question, Matt. Brilliant question. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that. I had no idea he was going to do that.
He was going to fire me if I didn't do it.
You know what, Sevan, I know you put him up to that, so you're not innocent in this. So, and that's a TBD.
Innocent. All
That's
right,
a TBD. Reach out to me in a week or so when I have had some time to recover.
All right, you have my phone number. If you and Bill would like to go out for a drink sometime, let's set it up.
He said more words today, so you can be happy about that.
Awesome. Would you give him a big hug for me? Maybe slap him on the ass.
I'll give him a hug for you.
All right, thank you.
All right, I gotta run though. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, Caity Henngier, the owner of Rogue, and maybe one of the most successful businesswomen, business people in North America, maybe the world. Matt Souza, thank you. Well done, buddy. Dear Bill and Kate.
We're gonna get
Europa. Thank you, boys, for that. Thank you. Europa Chronicles. I think the judging really left some stuff to be. Okay, we talked about that. Give me 1 second here. Do some house cleaning, guys. It's too damn easy. Just leaving blood in the water has potentially made for an interesting upcoming season. People going to be training hard. Thanks for the coverage. Jacqueline Robertson again from Canada. I forgot to say as well, Brian, if you see Facundo again, please tell him I'm trying to contact him interning with Mayhem. Oh, that's awesome.
Should have told me on the last show. I spent the entire final event watching it with him. Sorry, Jacqueline.
FRJD Mathern, $10. Thanks for the content, guys. Really enjoyed checking in all weekend. Event seems solid in the opinion of Catholic priest and novice CrossFitter. Wow. Thank you, Father. And I'll be calling you later. I have some things I must confess. Malik Williams with the beautiful young lady by his side. Thoughts on if Mao was in the field competing?
Ooh, doesn't beat Laura.
Well, first of all,
wow.
I did get a chance to ask Matt O'Keefe about that, and there was nothing about the programming or whatever that was discouraging. They're just really interested over there in setting up her for a long run in this sport, and they want to get a couple really, really intentional training cycles in this season going into 2023. They spoke with Bill and Caity, and they said, we will be back in Rogue at some point, but they're just taking this one off. As far as competition goes, I still would say what I said before. It's too bad she wasn't here. I mean, given what we saw from the rest of these athletes, I think she would have been right in the mix for the podium at the very least, and possibly contending to win. And it's good. It's cool because she wasn't here. We did get to see some others excel. Obviously, Emma Lawson, Ellie Turner did very, very well. But I think, yeah, of course, we would have loved to have her here. She would have been just another component of the parity, the competition, the excitement, the thrills that I think the women's field is set up for several years to come.
Hiller, what did you say?
I don't think that she would have beat Laura.
Agreed. I agree. And I just want to clarify.
With those 4 event wins, I mean, even if Mal comes in and takes 1 or 2 of them and Laura still gets her basically dead last, I don't think Mal can beat that point spread.
I do think Mal would have had a couple event wins of her own, but I'm not sure that she beats Laura. I will say I did not intend for that question to come off as, are you trying to sell more barbells? My intent was simply, are you guys biased towards weightlifting? So I think
that's the way I took it too. I didn't think you meant it like that either.
I didn't hear it that way either.
You're just a target. You're just a scapegoat, Taylor. Unfortunately, for misplaced aggression in this world, it is your destiny.
Fire away.
JR, but it worked out for what's the bald guy who played basketball? Worked for Charles Barkley. I'm starting to see you as the Charles Barkley
Jordan
of CrossFit. JR Howell, does Mal O'Brien beat Laura Horvath?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can say so many things would have happened if she was here. There would have been people in between them on certain workouts, not in between them. There would have been 1 and 2. I don't think that Mal has a finish higher than 10th, though, if she's here.
Woo!
I don't think she's even. I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time believing.
We should go through an event by event.
Now, here's what I think. I think right now she's trying to beat Tia in several months.
I would agree.
That's all 100%. She's thinking about. That's all she's thinking about.
And I'll say I have tremendous respect for what O'Keefe told me there, and it's something that's so difficult. The sport right now, if you're trying to make it and you haven't already made it, especially, it's so tempting to compete all year long. But we know that is not the recipe for long-term success. You have to be selective. And I think at every point of the journey, and the fact that she's in a situation where she's willing to listen to people who've come before her and are giving that advice and putting in the work, I think does give her the potential to have the best possible career that she can have.
I also spoke to Matt Fraser about this subject. I said, why isn't Mal competing? He didn't say that we're trying to beat Tia, but he says we're doing what's best for her training. And I said, well, then why is Jason Hopper competing? And he said, because competing for him is what's best for his training. So he did answer that question. Taylor, I want to get back to you in 1 second about that question about comparing this to regional events in just 1 second. Mike Needleman.
Holy shit, Mike. Venmo me.
You're the man,
you all
Mike.
are crushing
You're the
it.
man.
Appreciate the time and effort spent this weekend and year-round dancing man emoji. Mike, incredibly generous. Means the world to me. There was I don't remember. Can you paraphrase what that comment was? Because I won't be able to find it, Taylor. But it was comparing this to regional programming.
Yeah, it said essentially, how can Chandler play second at Rogue and miss out on the games? Does that indicate the semifinal programming is flawed? And my first thought was, question. I think it's a combination of this programming, semifinal programming, and Chandler's performance at semifinals versus performance here. So I think one thing, yes, we know the semifinal programming was flawed. We talked about it. It was so flawed. But you can look at this event and you could say the same thing. You know, they had weightlifting. If you include the sandbags and the trail run, maybe you don't have to, but they were carrying a go ruck. They were moving an external load in 9 out of 10 events. 9 out of 10 events had weightlifting. Clearly very, very, very biased. And that's okay. I think overall the workouts were cool. They were fun. The final was definitely fucking exciting, but you also had 4 sandbags in events. You had 3 clean and jerk variations. So, no, I don't think it was due to the semifinal programming that Chandler missed out. I think it was due to his own fitness. But I do think programming bias plays a role.
I think it was due. And I actually think in Chandler's case, at semifinal, it was not fitness related. It was health related. He was basically having an asthma attack the whole weekend.
Ryan?
Yeah, I would. If you're trying to evaluate Chandler Smith's career, I would not consider the 2022 regionals a valid data points in his sample set. That was an unfortunate circumstance based on asthma and allergies that was happening to him. I've watched him compete in person a lot, and I've never seen him look like he looked at Granite Games, and I'm with JR. I don't think it had anything to do with his fitness.
He is really fit, but I will say if the continuum of sickness, fitness, wellness, health is on there. So, let me
ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. What if we took these exact workouts and we made them?
It's not irrelevant. No, it is not irrelevant at all. Jonakoski was also sick during semifinals and failed to make the games. He won the last chance qualifier. He did better. He did well at the games, and he looked even better here. Illness is a real thing, and don't forget. Don't mistake this. We've talked about this before. What the athletes are training for here is not optimal health and fitness. They're training for optimal performance, and it does put them more susceptible to something like illness than a regular person who is looking for low trajectory and distant horizon.
What I'm saying is your health is a part of your fitness, though. That is a component of being fit and being ready to compete. So what I meant was my statement was irrelevant to your argument. Your argument is correct. That's what I meant by irrelevant.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Let me ask you guys this. If you took this program from the 2022 Rogue Invitational and you were to make it the programming across the board at all the semifinals that are coming up around the world, would you guys be okay with this programming?
No.
To pick the guys who go to the CrossFit Games, Taylor?
No. I'd be
JR?
more okay than for fucking some of the programs.
Wow. Is that true, Hiller?
Yeah.
It was
of course.
better than some of the
programming
semifinals.
was god awful.
And I know we're comparing apples and oranges because the point of this isn't to send someone to the games, but I was just curious what you guys would think about that.
JR?
Yeah, no, I would say that this would not be a great semifinals program.
You got to think about this. You got to think about what's the point of the competition. And the semifinals is a qualifier for the games. The games is a qualifier for this. So it's, even if you were to line up the performances of these athletes at the games relative to Rogue, it's not a good comparison. This would not be suitable as a qualifier to the CrossFit Games, in my opinion.
And this
should be.
And this hasn't even really been done before. Like this test, I guess you could say some of the Dubai events in the earlier years, but this is almost like a pseudo games. This is somewhere in between the two. This is somewhere in between a semifinal and a games.
Because of the volume and the number of events and the why do you say that?
The skill, the off terrain, all of it, the new implements, things like the hill. That is a really steep hill. That's there's a lot of stuff here that's extremely high skill, extremely high load, extremely high volume, demanding, and nuanced and different. JR's right. Dubai has had a couple of years that look something like this. But even from your question about the semifinals, I would say, we've talked about how 6 workouts at semifinals is probably not enough to qualify to the games. We'd like to see maybe 8, but I don't think we want to see 10.
10's too many. I think 7 to 8 is perfect.
Brian should be doing marketing for Rogue. That was a brilliant. Semifinals are the qualifications for the games, and the games are the qualifications for the Rogue Invitational. That's a true and powerful statement. For Brian's beer, excellent work all around, guys. Nero Dusuvius,
probably. Anyway, I did want to also say this about the qualifier for this. We had a conversation coming into this competition about would you have rather seen spots 16 through 20 from the games, specifically in the men's field, or the 5 qualifiers. And what we ended up getting was Chandler Smith. And even though I do think that 16 through 20 at the games this year are fitter than the 5 guys that came through the queue, the nice thing about having something like the queue is that it does account for something like happened to Chandler this year, which was an unfortunate situation at semifinals, precluding him from the main qualifier, the CrossFit Games, to this competition. Still gave him a backdoor inning to take second place overall. I would not be upset if this was the format that they ran back last year with 15 from the games and 5 from the qualifier.
I agree 100%. I think it's better to let people qualify, leave some qualifying spots. The father would like to speak again from the pulpit. Justin is a better BKG. Lucky camera straps. Thank you for the mouse pad. I still have Brian Friends. I have not given it to him yet. $50. Thank you. With an A, Australian. Still catching up on all the events and recap shows in order. So just popping to show some love. Don't tell me who won. Okay, fine. We won't. We'll try not to. For $50, we won't tell you.
Spiegel won.
Much of anything. Anthony TPA, $2. Brian, did you ask Rich about JR beating him at the CrossFit Games?
Does anyone know what he's talking about?
We talked about possibly JR going to compete in Masters so he can compete.
Oh, in the Masters, they're in the same division next year. I'm also in that division, and I'm offended that I wasn't included in the conversation.
Asshole. Eric Weiss, 1999. Thanks, brother. I love seeing you in the comments always. Great weekend, guys. Appreciate all the coverage. Are you kidding me? Luis Lemos?
He's back.
Are you writing down every time? Are you adding up how much people donate, Taylor? Every time someone puts in money,
he's keeping a tab.
Down.
Yeah. You see that?
You son of a! You're muted, thumb.
I said I'm sending them. I'm taking down all their names so I can send them my Venmo on Instagram.
Luis Lemos, brother, thank you. I'm blushing. Thank you so very much. Can we pull up the? We looked at the women. Can we pull up the men's leaderboard?
Sevan, I got to leave the area I'm in. I might lose connection for a minute.
Okay, we'll dock your pay. Justin Medeiros 735, Chandler Smith 720, Jeffrey Adler 715. Let's talk about Chandler Smith. Are you guys suggesting that maybe we haven't seen the best of Chandler Smith in his CrossFit career?
We definitely haven't seen his best, but what's up, Lazar Jukic. I want to ask him about the programming.
Lazar, okay. Let's see if we can get Brian to here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Lazar Jukic from Serbia, the home of Novak Djokovic, is coming on the nope, he's not coming on the show. Okay, where were we? What was the last question? Chandler Smith. Have we not seen the best Chandler Smith ever? Is he still coming?
I think there's the potential for that, but also I think there's the potential for that.
JR?
Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, he had this hashtag that was Games 2022 maybe, or Games 2023. That was like when he was planning on making his debut at the games, and anything prior to that was kind of premature as far as his plans went. But he's had some other setbacks. You know, we talked about last year at semifinals, but he also had the incident with his finger when he was at work, and that set him back almost, 6 to 9 months. So no, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that we haven't seen the best of him yet.
And Brian, have you peeped Chandler's Brian? Have you peeped Chandler Smith's finger? Have you? Oh, Patty! Tell Patty to jump on. We sent him a link.
Ask him if he liked the workouts, and just let's hear his general thought. Thanks, Brian.
Brian, have you peeped Chandler Smith's finger? Brian, have you seen it? How much? Can we get a confirmation?
I'm talking to Pat. Hold on.
Is that really how much is missing?
I think it's his pinky.
His pinky?
I could be wrong.
Oh, you're muted, JR.
Ring fingers like that.
How did he lose his finger?
Something in the middle.
He dropped a piece of a tank on it.
No shit.
Yeah, he was moving up like a piece of armor from the tank, and it like slipped and smashed his finger.
Did it just sever it right off?
No, I think it was a crush injury, and then they can't recover it, so then they just amputated it.
Oh. Wow. Fascinating.
Damn, by the barbell spin. I didn't even know they were around back then. Holy shit.
Oh, why did they blur out the picture? Were there boobs on that?
It was actually his dick. They didn't want to show it.
There was a helmet on the end there. Dan DeLuyo. Thanks for solid coverage this weekend. And gents, Souza, that was an incredible, or Caleb, whoever brought that up, that was incredibly fast. You guys. Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
There's his nub. Okay. Hey, that's an important
usable.
finger. That's a really important finger, though.
He's still got enough knuckle for a ring, if that's what you're insinuating.
No, that is an important thing. Well, I know with in arm wrestling, that's an important finger to help control people's wrists.
I thought you talk about oil checks.
I don't think you give a fuck about arm wrestling.
Fingers.
Olson Dennis, you're live.
Yeah, that one.
It's Chris, but I'm curious what you guys think about these competitions where the athletes get to kind of wear whatever they want, in terms of how it brings out their own personality, allows them to create their own brand, and then also maybe even if it impacts performance.
I was really surprised that people weren't wearing stuff that was branded better. Even Patrick Veltner's tier shirt, you could barely read the word tier. I was surprised people weren't out there just flashing the Sevan. Everyone should have just been wearing CEO shirts. Thoughts on that?
Agree.
Thoughts on that,
Totally
Taylor?
agree.
Thoughts on wearing a CEO shirt?
No, just on why people weren't branded better or people being allowed to wear their own stuff. Both. I just threw my question on top of it.
I don't think that's going through these athletes' heads, and maybe it should be. I don't think enough of them or most of them think on it to that degree or
Really?
are as calculated.
Those
Correct.
15 men have managers. Shouldn't they be saying, hey, make sure you wear this shirt, this shirt, this shirt? Like, shouldn't Noah Olsen be out there wearing a shirt or having
their managers should be selling the shirts as space to their advertisement. That's what I would say, especially as their rankings change. I would up the dollar amount, and then I would say, hey, our guy's going to wear this shirt on day 3 for X amount, and that should be a job of an agent there, just like NASCAR, baby.
I agree with that. I do think Noah's probably wearing his brand quite well.
But I agree. But what about a henna tattoo on his back selling the dog food that he peddles?
That could be cool. Yeah. Romwad used to do that.
I think it's cool. I don't think people are taking advantage of it, caller.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Peace.
I think that if an athlete's thinking about that, they're going to get dead last.
I'm going to get a climber henna tattoo and compete with that across my chest next.
I want to say something about what Jeff Bako is saying. Based on the viewership on YouTube, it's not worth much. Here's why it is worth much. The people who watch CrossFit, they are easy to convert. These people who are people who spend money, who buy the stuff that they see. So a regular conversion might be like 0.025%, but in the CrossFit space, it's like 2.5%. It's like 100 or 1,000 times more. So these guys have an incredible conversion rate, the people who are converting. That's why it's just not the sheer number of people you have, but the kind of people you have following you. Like, let me tell you, Danielle Brandon sold a shitload of toe spacers already. Because people want to be like her. People want to do what she's doing, and they want to get the edge that they think she has. Mike Halpin, Sevan knows he used to track the eyeballs and put out videos and see the masses move. That you could say that. Okay, let's go back to the boys leaderboard, please.
I got second on the freaking lawn chair leaderboarding. Brian destroyed us.
Destroyed you guys. I didn't play.
Can you organize everyone by by the 10th event? I want to see where Jack Farlow fell. We had Olivia Kerstetter, the 16-year-old. Oh no, sorry. Can you organize them by the 10th event? Sorry, Souza. Can you organize them by the 10th event? We had Olivia Kerstetter, the 16-year-old, take second place, and we had Jack Farlow, the new kid on the block, take fourth place. What does that say about young people strength events and their place in CrossFit? Are they getting stronger, or have these guys maxed out and now it's time to work elsewhere on their skills?
You know, it's interesting when you're young, strength does come faster and easier, and as you get older, it takes more and more time. But in their case, it's probably the smartest way to do it, because developing an aerobic base usually doesn't take that long.
Taylor.
I would say genetics probably play a larger role than a lot of people count towards, in how fast you can get strong and how fast you can put on muscle mass. I would also say, generally speaking, aerobic fitness comes faster than strength. But also genetics play a role, and also your mindset and your mentality play a role. Some people can't hurt as good as other people.
Are Jack Farlow and Olivia Kerstetter going to be the strongest people CrossFit's ever seen?
Who knows? Potentially. But is that going to matter? Because CrossFit's about a whole lot of things beyond just strength.
Well, I'm just wondering if that's something that reaches a certain level and then that's it. Like it's super easy to plateau there, and then that's it, and then or if you get strength when you're young, you're going to keep building it. It's like if you're 15 years old and you're stronger than all the other 15-year-olds, and you continue to train, are you going to be stronger than everyone when you're 25?
I think it's safe to
go ahead. Go.
I think it's safe to assume that there is a margin of diminishing returns where you can only get so strong without taking away from other areas to be good enough to qualify for the games. That being said, every year, the margins of what we think the athletes are capable of gets moved up. How much we think they should be able to lift and how fast we think they should be able to run at the same time, or how many muscle ups we think they should be able to do and how heavy that guy's same deadlift should be. And it just continues to be pushed forward.
JR?
Yeah, I think for every gi that you see, or every Jack Farlow or Olivia Kerstetter that you see, and it remains to be seen with them, you see someone who beat their body down by the time they were 20 or 21. Hiller's talked about George Sterner several times. He was super, super strong. Like in 2018, I think the 18.2 and 2A, I mean, workouts like that at his age, but then he had to end up taking some time off to kind of rehab his whole body.
Also in that group was Nick Palladino. He went from being one of the strongest snatches in the game to being a Twitch
Professional
guy.
gamer.
Yeah, and
what happens is George Sterner coming back? That's an interesting name. I haven't heard that name in a while.
He's in school for engineering, I believe.
He is not coming back. Mr. Caller, you're on.
Hey, can you guys talk about what you think Olivia's training should be for the next year? Because while she did a good job, definitely a lot more holes than I think a lot of us realized. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts.
Thank you. Great
She's gotta
question.
get more athletic.
Yeah.
I think that's something that Froning used to always talk about. Is if you were coming up in the space, get out of the CrossFit gym, and like while you should still be in there to do the linear progression, whatnot, but you should still be playing every sport because athleticism is something she's clearly lacking.
I think Olivia.
You know who else talks a lot about that exact point, Hiller?
I'm not gonna. You can't. Nope. Don't say his fucking name, Brian.
Just a question. Just a question.
It's Bergeron, isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
It's Bergeron.
I think Olivia is a good example of genetics and being extremely strong. And I would imagine with a coach or being around Hepner, who's pretty athletic and is pretty good with his aerobic engine and general CrossFit, I don't think she's doing any I don't think she's missing out on that stuff. I think she's simply 16 and it's going to take time.
JR?
It's almost like in order to do some of those things that you're saying, you have to stop doing this and do other things and then come back to it. Like people talk about needing to be more athletic, and well, what do you need to do that? You need to do a bunch of different things to develop that. So trying to backpedal on that, I think, is a lot easier said than done at this point.
And what does that look like? Take her out to the track, having her start working on the ladder, track and field events, lateral movements, ball throwing. Like, what would you do if you could do one day a week of some variance for her? What would you give her? Put her in a team sport, soccer. What would you do? Footwork?
Basketball.
Basketball.
I would probably do some things just a lot of agility ladder drills, just to work
Right.
on foot speed, coordination, all that kind of stuff. I think that's great.
Basketball would be great.
I thought I was going to get tore up for that, bringing up the agility ladder. I really appreciate that.
I love the basketball idea. What is this guy, Alex Rodriguez, saying? You see that comment?
Yeah, Mr. Rodriguez, Alex Rodriguez, to your point, CrossFit athletes don't convert sales based on what they are wearing, consuming. We sign athletes for credibility, not conversion. Speaking from experience, work D2C.
What does he mean by credibility?
I think he means B2C.
Direct to consumer.
What, Matt?
That D2C, direct to consumer.
So what does he mean by credibility?
I think he's talking about the authenticity of the athlete, kind of what they stand for and what they represent is what might drive brands to them more in terms of who they would choose for their athletes, and then also how they're converting sales. We obviously on the show have a big opposite view of that a little bit.
I don't know what credibility means. Does that,
Alex?
I do have a question of what do you mean by that? Like whether they're woke or not, like what they stand for, what they're willing to talk about, how much they stay in their shell, how much they play it safe, like
or how they look in a picture on a app called Instagram.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah. Also to add, an athlete's primary focus is to train, so expect them to be salesmen. It's unrealistic. Well, that's our point exactly. That's why they should have a manager who's looking out for them. In that way.
What does that mean? It's so vague. Credibility to the brand. What does that mean?
I think it means, are they actually using it on their own? Are they consuming the brand? Would they have purchased it if they weren't sponsored by them? How well do they mesh with the brand? That type of thing. Which actually makes a lot more sense, Alex.
Yeah,
thank you for the clarification. Now I'm on the same page.
But that's not different. That also, if you can't convert, if there's an athlete with who has 100 Instagram followers, it doesn't matter how much their credibility is. If we're understanding what you mean by credibility, you're not signing them. The managers should be putting the sponsorship together. Yes, athletes should be training. But it's a great point, Alex. I appreciate it. Get Adam Klink on the show. Another great point. I know. I agree. Why? Do you manage him? What's he selling?
No, I think Adam Klink is the brand and athlete liaison for BPN.
And
So
is that where
he
that
handles? Well, I think he was saying get out of the plank on
An
because
ankle was broken, a knee was broken.
Oh, because he can speak on the subject because he does that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great point. Let's get Adam on. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. Mary, and I appreciate the donation you demand. Mary Pittman. Hi.
Hey, I was just wondering.
Whoa. How much testosterone are you on, Mary?
Oh, more than you'd like to know, Sevan.
All right.
I was wondering who you think the most surprising performance in both fields was this weekend.
Chandler.
Oh, sorry, I muted you. Sorry, Taylor. That was my fault.
I think Chandler Smith is the most surprising to me to take second place.
Brian, do you have thoughts on that?
On the men's side, that's a hands down pick. I mean, I picked him 8th, and I thought that was like a good, bit of an ambitious pick. So second's incredible. For the women, I'd probably say Ellie Turner.
I'm embarrassed to say my pick would be Emma Lawson. I always have trouble believing that people are as good as they are. And I knew she was great, but for some reason I'm still just like flabbergasted. I'm still just like,
but
what?
I'm thinking about it, I guess, selfishly. Like, I think I picked her 6th. I think I picked Ellie outside the top 10. So for me, it's got to be Ellie and Chandler.
JR.
Yeah, I definitely think it's Chandler, and I'm actually with you on this with Emma, not because I didn't think she was crazy fit, because she showed that at the games, but because even going into this event, we knew what Rogue usually was like. We knew usually how it was programmed without even knowing 2 of the workouts, well, really 3 of the workouts, and yet she still finished on the podium, and I would have not picked her 3rd.
Andrew Hiller. Stand by, caller.
Most surprising?
Yeah.
I think Danielle Brandon's kind of low on the list.
Oh, so you're okay.
He's
So you're going
the
going the opposite way. You're surprised that how poorly she did.
Yeah. I mean, other than Chandler Smith, that's probably the most surprising thing.
I would be
crazy low, but I would have thought she would have been 4th or 5th, not closer to the middle.
I would be curious to ask what Alex Rodriguez thinks about this. There was a comment on the TV that basically said Danny Spiegel just takes it easy because she's not chasing the money because she makes so much money on elsewhere, like on whatever her OnlyFans or whatever. I don't know. Can't tell if that's a joke or not, or if she really has that. Andrew Soloway, thank you for the money. Caller, the floor is yours.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Quick question for you. I noticed, obviously, Haley Adams was not there this weekend, and the barbells were heavy. All the weights were heavy. In 10 years, does it just make it impossible for someone like with her body type or her size to compete in the sport of CrossFit? Is everyone going to look like a Roman Krennikov or a Danny Spiegel or something like that? I just felt like it's the heavier and heavier, and you're just eliminating some more of the folks that are maybe more the traditional CrossFit body type.
Before you answer that question, is the caller, you can go first, Taylor. I'd like to add this to what the caller asked. Is the caller making a presupposition that it's her body type and giving her an excuse? Taylor.
I don't care to comment on whether or not he's making a presupposition on her body type. What I do think is important to note is look at the programming from the CrossFit Games. What did we just have introduced? We didn't get really any new weightlifting elements introduced aside from maybe you could count the 1 rep max sandbag clean, but you did have the seated legless that didn't get to go through. You did have the strict pegboard. You did have the crossover double unders. You did have the bar dips and the bar traverse. None of those lend really any advantage to athletes who are bigger and heavier, such as Roman Krennikov. So no, I don't think the sport is going to be continually advanced in the weightlifting direction. I think Boz pretty clearly stated, if not vaguely, but we understand that he stated the sport needs the most advancement in gymnastic strength and gymnastic skill. So no, I don't think that's where the sport is going. I think the sport is going more towards CrossFit and being.
Andrew Hiller. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Is the future of CrossFit on
Who
the
is?
female side? Emma Lawson. That body type.
Caller.
I wasn't making a presupposition. I was just saying, you look at someone like Josh Bridges or Chris Spieler. 10 years ago they were able to compete in the sport, but you don't get those. You get Scott Tetlow, he's an outlier. Colt Mertens, he's an outlier.
Who are just giant versions of those guys, is what you're saying. I see your point. I see it's Spieler and Josh, but giant.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. Whenever they competed, they were right up there in the podium. But now, Colton Mertens could have the games of his life, but he's just not going to finish in the top 10 just because of anatomical reasons. not out of that.
Brian, thoughts on the evolution of the cross? Is Haley Adams, is the sport going the opposite direction of her skill set and her body type? Is it moving away from her?
No, not necessarily. I think what we're seeing here is Taylor's points about the games are excellent, and the fact that we have a competition that is high profile, that is high paying, and it is highest emphasis on the ability to move external loads like Rogue means that there's opportunities within the total calendar year of the sport for people who excel at different things to potentially have a chance to showcase that.
Caller, thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Hiller.
What?
I love seeing the fact that Kerstetter, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but that Kerstetter and Jack Farlow can shine with a workout that is, by JR, that is as old as time in terms of CrossFit. That really you can still just be really great and exceptional at a bedrock CrossFit workout, and it shows that we're still grounded to our roots. Do you have any thoughts on that? That they did that heavy grace?
That's a wheelhouse workout for them. I do think that, like I said, it shows what they've got going for them from like their most like basic level, bottom of the pyramid. They've got the conditioning, they can handle the weightlifting, and then it's just going to be working on the things that they're not so great at, which at this point is relative to this field, a lot of things. And they're young. So as long as they put their efforts into the right spots, they're going to move the right way. But like we've seen with Haley Adams, it doesn't appear as if she's been doing that as much as she should. And that's an assumption with nothing to back it up. She hasn't gotten that much stronger.
Hey, I would have liked to have seen that workouts with a 135 for the men and 95 for the women as workout 1 and then workout 10, heavy grace.
Haley Adams is like Laura Horvath in relation to the things she's not so great at. But Laura Horvath is way better at the things she's good at when compared to the things that Haley's bad at. There's just like she's more towards the middle.
Wow.
I would say that,
So-
I would say
Wow.
this is a similar conversation to what we had earlier. No, the things that Laura's good at, she's able to capitalize in more events. The things she's bad at are emphasized or highlighted in fewer events.
Correct.
Well said, Brian. Scott Beatty, $10 from Canada. Great podcast all weekend. Great podcast for the last year. Great job on the heavy grace. Hiller. Yeah, Hiller, that was truly amazing.
What?
That grace you did. You're now legendary status.
I was still thinking about the Haley Adams comment. I'm like, wait, how is that amazing? She's basically Laura Horvath, but different.
We just spent 4 days watching the 2022 Rogue Invitational. Laura Horvath takes first place on the women's side. Justin Medeiros continues his dynasty in the CrossFit competition space. I think that we're looking at the future, the present and the future. I think we're going to continue to see Justin win the CrossFit Games this year. I don't think that there's anyone close to him. I think everyone else is probably who's close to him is waning, and he is ascending. Taylor, are you going to make a run for the CrossFit Games this year?
No.
Because this is so fun, or because your injury is going to take longer to recover from?
Yes.
I'll probably be I'll probably be healthy enough too, but it's just not worth it. Kind of like what Brian was talking about, picking and choosing your battles and playing your cards right in terms of when it makes most sense to compete. This year doesn't make most sense.
Dick Butter, I just want to let you know that I did try to get you unbanned from the
It was
YouTube
amazing.
over at Rogue, and they said no. Joshua, you got to lower your YouTube, buddy.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. The things Haley is bad at show up multiple times during an event. The things Laura is bad at maybe show up once. Caller, you're live.
Hiller, just a quick question.
What's up?
Is that chest hair or did you have cupping done?
Cupping. My tight ass chest is the reason for my busted elbow. Someone thinks. So
Nice.
I can get some work done.
Thank you, caller.
Awesome.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
You guys are great.
With the deep,
Love ya.
with the deep question, you demand. Bye-bye. Jeffrey, I got to put you on hold, buddy. Oh my goodness. Hi.
Hey, Sevan.
Hi. Oh, Jeff, I got to call you back. I'm sorry. Laura, hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You're back in the hotel room?
Yeah, back in the hotel room.
You got the family with you, the husband and the baby?
Yeah, Maddie's putting Scotty in the shower right now, and she's screaming about it and having a meltdown, trying to get ready for dinner. So it's great times right now.
Nice event win.
What was that? Sorry.
I said nice event win.
Oh, thank you. Nice way to end.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
incredible. Before we get to that, I want to know a little bit. When did you get to the States?
The 18th. So we had roughly like I think it was like 9 days before the first day of competition.
Were you dreading coming? You're like, oh man, I got to fly around the world again.
Kind of. I was like, it was hard to, like, I didn't get a break. I've never done like a competition that close together before, like in my whole career. So that was hard, especially now because I'm old and we're so far away. So yeah, it was a bit tricky, but it was also kind of good because we'd just done it. So it was super familiar. Like we kind of, like if you've just done it, we know like what worked and what didn't work and how we felt and all that kind of stuff. So even packing was easier. Like, but yeah, it's a big trip. It always is such a big trip. Like, yeah, it's hectic.
Yeah. And that's a good point. You'd just been to the States, then you went home and you're saying that these competitions were close for you, that you did have to, how old are you?
33. I just turned 33 this week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You had to take that into consideration. You're like, wow, can my body handle this CrossFit Games and then Rogue?
Oh, dude, I have so many miles on me right now. I like over a decade of CrossFit and like, a decade of individual competition, had a kid in there. I'm like, I have a lot of miles on this body. So I honestly, at some point, I never thought that I would even still be here. So even like after having a baby, I was like, I don't even like 1, 2 or whatever. Yeah, it's been a long ride.
We interviewed Caity Henngier about 30 minutes ago, and she said that when she thinks about you and Annie, and then she stopped and she goes, I'm getting goosebumps. The longevity that you guys have had in your career, it's just kind of mind-blowing. And it seems like you're even blowing yourself away.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I became a CrossFit athlete by accident. Back in our day, we were doing other things and started training CrossFit, and then we just like fell into competition and kind of just rolled with it. And then all of a sudden it's 10 years later and you're like, wow, like, well, how did that even happen? But yeah, it's kind of crazy too. Like Maddie and I were talking about it today, we're sort of like the end of that era, like that first era, like of that first sort of like generation of CrossFitters that have been around, like in the old CrossFit and like the old CrossFit Games. We're kind of like the last ones hanging on. And we were saying, it's funny that it's women because we're like, the women will never be as like reckless and crazy and stupid in workouts. Like the boys are like, I don't even care about it. I'll just go. And so their years are so much like more intense and they, maybe break a little bit more or whatever. And we're kind of like a little bit more careful.
Are you happy that it's in Austin? I mean, if you were coming to the United States and you were going to Columbus, I don't mean to take a dig at Columbus, but Austin is such a more robust city. It's fun. There's a lot of stuff to do. Are you happy to be there?
Yeah, like the biggest thing for me and the reason why I've always wanted to do the Rogue Invitational. I just haven't been able to accept my invite since it started, but is that we can fly direct from Australia to Texas. So that's a huge one for me is like we do one little domestic flight into Sydney from where I'm from, and then we just fly straight in and we just land and we stay there. And not having to do those extra like internal flights makes the biggest difference. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoy being in Texas. It's pretty cool. I mean, I've been able to see a little bit, but not everything. We spent a bit of time in Fort Worth and then here in Austin, and yeah, it's been super cool. Like people are really friendly from every encounter that I've had. There's like a little bit more kind of stuff to do, and yeah, it's cool.
You see event 10 pop up just a few minutes before you do it, and what is your immediate reaction when you see Heavy Grace?
I was relieved because we were like going through our head going, oh man, we haven't done burpees and rowing. And like, we're coming up with this like disgusting, like Steel Bridges combination, with like all those like feral CrossFit things that just hurt 21:15.9, and then they're like, oh, we're doing Grace, and we're like, yeah. I was sitting with Amanda Barnhart and Danny Spiegel, and we're all like sick, and we hear that, and it's heavy Grace, and we're like, yeah. We're like just so stoked. We're like, oh, finally. We're like, this is so good. And then after the event, I was like, I said to Maddie, it's so crazy because I had to pull out of the games in 2014. I was like winning for like the whole games for so long, and the final was Grace. And I remember hearing that announcement and I burst into tears. I was trying to like support the girls who were like left standing, and I was just so heartbroken that it was that workout. And I was like, I got like to finish this competition, and like, the last competition in my 10 years, and it was that workout. So I was like, I was super stoked.
Did you say that do you think this is your last competition?
This is my last competition this year.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that next step looks like at the moment. I'm just taking it one moment at a time.
Do you think that this victory that you had here in this final workout and the performance you had here affects your decision?
No, my decision, I mean, I guess I can't say no because you take into consideration all factors. I'm just very realistic about like the stage of life I'm at, and then like where my priorities lie and how much space I have to give certain things. And at the moment, like I've got a 3-year-old, and that's wild. And I care about my marriage and my home and like all of those kind of normal things. And there's a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of money, like everything just still dedicated to this sport. Like, so yeah, I like those things are definitely more important and more, contribute more to like my decision each time.
When you see the workout and you take the floor, is your mindset to win it?
Man, I'm not going to lie. Over the years and like being a little bit older, and I've definitely softened, like I know that, especially since I've had my daughter, and I'm just like a lot more content in life. So I'm just like, I used to be like really fiery and hot-headed, and I didn't really like, I don't know, being in the world, like in the normal world like that. It kind of worked for competition, but I didn't really like how that was getting me through other parts of life. So these days I don't really have that crazy fire, like that really wild, just like, what's my husband in a towel?
Yeah, that's nice. That'll get some viewers fired up.
I don't quite have it, or like I have to force it. I'm just like, it's different. It's really different. I still kind of like enjoy myself, but that like wild, when you're young and just reckless and you just like, you're cutthroat and you go after it. Like I don't have that as much. And I think like for me, competition in the early days was like filling some sort of void for me, and I don't really have that void anymore. So, I guess I've just kind of grown up. And
so you didn't go in there thinking, you didn't plan to win that.
Look, I don't plan not to win it, but I'm also, without trying to come across like negative, I'm just a realist, and I know what I have to offer and what I don't have to offer. I know the hours that other girls are able to put in and headspace and energy and what they're able to dedicate, and I just don't have that. I choose not to have that anymore, right? It hasn't been taken from me. I choose to put a lot of time and headspace and everything like into my daughter, into my family, into my growing my business and all of those kind of things. So I'm just realistic. I know that the sport has evolved so much, and what's required of athletes is just so much bigger. And so, I kind of was like, look, I just don't think I can, don't get me wrong. I work really hard, and like when I'm working, I put everything into it. I do the best I can, but in a session that should take 3 hours, I'm busting it out in an hour and a half, and then I'm racing my daughter to some sport or something, so, and that just makes it a little bit trickier. I don't get to like mobilize as much and like do all those kind of things anymore. So, I just mainly wanted to show up, as corny as it sounds. I was trying to just show up and make sure that I kind of gave everything that I had to offer, whatever that looked like, even if it looks a little different than last year or the year before or whatever. Just put forward whatever I had, and that's all I could do.
Andrew, go ahead.
On the event finale, you said you did not see yourself winning. You didn't want to make that seem negative. How about on the events that you didn't do so well on? So you had a couple of 16s and a couple of 15s. You go into those and you said you want to be a realist. How do you go into those viewing what you think you're going to be capable of and the potential outcomes?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think there's such a transition at the moment. This is what's been a little bit tricky for me this year in particular, is there's such a transition in the CrossFit world at the moment, like in the way that these competitions are and the programming and the athletes. Like, you know, we've got 16-year-old girls in the open category for the first time. And so I'm kind of just feeling it out. And like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what they're capable of. I'm kind of like in uncharted territory a little bit. Whereas so many years, I feel like we knew the field. It was the same kind of field. We knew what each other was good at, and we knew how the workouts were going to play out. And it's just so different. So, look, I know things that maybe I haven't been able to work on as much, or, things that aren't a strength of mine as it is, or whatever. That last one, though, I did go out to win that. I'm not going to lie. The reason being is, well, there's a couple of reasons. I am in this like weird transition, and I'm trying to adjust to it, and it's tricky. And back in the day, every year that there was an open announcement and there was like a barbell cycling workout, like snatches on repeat or cleans, whatever, I would win it. And I was like, I was the girl. I was the barbell cycling girl. And I felt like it was like what I was born to do. Like, it came so natural to me and I loved it. And my daughter kept saying after every workout, like, did you win, Mum? Did you win? I'm like, no, babe, I haven't won yet. I'm sorry. Like, I'm working really hard. And that workout came out and I was like, I need this and she needs this. I'm like, I'm going to try for her. And I really want to just see if I can still do that and still be that person this far down the track. So I definitely did go out deliberately to win that, I guess, making a calculated guess that I had the potential to. Whereas some others I underestimate myself, some I overestimate myself, and I'm disappointed. But yeah, I'm in this weird, like, uncharted area right now.
You and Spiegel stepped up to the final bar together, and she did not look over to her left. I have not spoken with her, but the camera was on her and her eyes were at the ground and she was walking forward. Did you know that? But did you look at her? Did you know the two of you were?
She was in a different heat. She was in the first heat, and you're talking about Olivia Kerstetter. Cara was in the second heat.
Thank you, Taylor. Okay. Did you have anyone close to you in your heat?
Yeah, I think Laura was pretty close. Like, she was going for it, right? Because she wanted to win the whole event. So I could hear that they were saying like where she was, and I could kind of sense that I was transitioning to the next barbell a little bit quicker. So I tried to just get my hands on a barbell before anyone else did. I thought if I'm always one step ahead on this weight, I can kind of just like keep moving. Like, we'd watched the boys, and Maddie was like, you can see the ones who are doing well are right there with their barbell. They're not like waiting for it to settle too much or whatever. They're right there ready to like get back on it and chase it around. So, but yeah, I heard, I didn't know like what the time was. I just knew kind of that sort of strategy, and I could hear where Laura was, but I was pretty certain that I could maintain.
And that last rep, were you coming close to failure as that number 30, as you went to go jerk it? Were you like, okay, here we go?
No, I actually got a bit wobbly, like somewhere in I think it was somewhere in the middle, or maybe at the start of the last barbell, and I did a couple of like just weird catches, and I paused for a second, and so then the jerk was hard, and I was like, no, that's not happening. That's going to be too slow. So I started just not driving the jerk up. I just catch it and then pretty much just fall underneath it. I was like, I just got to grip and rip this thing and just get it done. So I was shaky, and I had to get the timing just right, because I was like, I can't lose a rep right now. But yeah, because you have to have that element of control to not fail at the end, it wasn't quite at failure.
I will tell you this, seeing you win that event and perform there, I started thinking, oh shit, she's definitely going to try to go to the games in 2023. Go ahead, Andrew.
165 versus 155. Good or not so good? Or needed or not needed?
Yeah, I think it's time. Like, I mean, I've been saying for a long
Agreed.
time, like, let's step it up. Everything else has stepped up. So the gymnastic skills get wild. The other whatever random stuff gets thrown at us has really like elevated, and the expectations are wild. So I feel like weight got lost at the CrossFit Games for a long time. And the female barbells just always seemed a little bit light to me, and it was like, oh, some people can't do it. I'm like, yeah, well, some people can't do the other stuff too. Like, it was always a little bit out of whack. I had high expectations that Rogue would get a little bit closer to that. I was like, look, I think just based off like watching from the outside in and from like the past, the online version that I did, I was like, I think they're going to step it up and do it right. And I think 165 was definitely appropriate. I mean, everyone moved it right. They all moved it fine. They proved that they could. And now it's like, okay, well, it's the same as like the back squat weight. It was like, look, it's heavy, but that's a foundation. That's a part of this sport. If you can't squat heavy, like, that's a massive deficiency. So yeah, I mean, Danny Spiegel said that in their gym, if the boys do 225, the girls do 175. So yeah, I think it was good.
My daughter's now a huge Cara fan because she has cartoons on in the background. Final question, and then see if Taylor has a question here. Did you get a chance to speak with Olivia Kerstetter?
I did at the end. Jacob Hepner was like, oh, mate, you couldn't and he said, mate, that's an Australian thing. I don't know what he said, but he was like, oh, you couldn't just let her have one. And I'm like, hey, I'm old. She's got plenty to go. I'm like, I did feel a little bit bad though, because she crushed it. And I was like watching from down, like we were waiting to go out. And I was like, damn. I'm like, she's literally like, I heard her talking in the warm-up area about something in her school bag. And I'm like, she got school tomorrow? She's just doing Rogue Invitation. I'm like, that is wild. I'm like,
does she look like a little girl to you? Like when you look at her face and her skin and her eyes, are you like, I'm competing against a girl?
Yeah, she's a baby. Like,
yeah.
She looks like a little baby, like she's so sweet and innocent. I'm like, and then I was like thinking back to me at 16. I'm like, oh, I was feral. And I'm like, like just doing what they're doing, and it's crazy. But yeah, I did actually feel bad because I was like, oh man, but I don't think it took away from her at all. Like what she's able to do at her age and show up and do that, it's just the start. So but yeah, she was good. She was still stoked. I think she knows she crushed it.
Taylor, do you have anything for Miss Saunders?
No questions. Great performance.
Thanks.
Yeah. Remarkable. Cara, I know you don't do a ton of interviews, so I really appreciate you doing that. I know your schedule is crazy, and that's really sweet of you. One final thing. Are you still, what businesses are you doing right now? Is your sunglass company still, running that?
Yes. Look, I'm not running it. Everyone's running it for me right now. But yes, I'm going to go and sink my teeth back into that. So we're kind of having a little bit of a rebrand glow up because we've gone into like from sunglasses into apparel, and we're trying to do all of that, and we're in the trenches with it. So yeah, exciting things to come, but a lot of work to do when I get home.
Okay. You're always welcome on the show. What's the website for the sunglasses and apparel?
Active Eyewear. Still under Eyewear. Yep.
Say it one more time. Active Eyewear.
So yeah, so the E is shared. So if you imagine, so it's just one E, ACTIV, and then eyewear.com.
Okay, you're the best. Thank you so much. Tell Maddie I said hi, and thanks for sharing you.
We'll do. He's here somewhere. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Eyewear.
As a mother who CrossFits, you are a true inspiration, Miss Ridow.
I gotta head out.
Bye.
Hi, Taylor. I had a monster question lined up for her.
Oh, sorry. What was it?
No, it's okay. I figured we didn't want to what is it called? Take too much of her time. There's a word.
She can
for
be
that.
really hard to get on a podcast. The fact that I sent her my number and she came on,
yeah, that's awesome.
What's it called when you take too much? When you're given a little bit. There's a word for it. I don't want to do that.
Greedy.
Cara's here. Yeah, I suppose.
No, he wouldn't have been greedy. Your question was great about 155 and 165. I think it was very enlightening. I think it was the best question.
Someone in the comments asked it.
Oh, okay.
And I think, well, so that I wonder if like Taylor had a similar thought too. It's something that I would always think of. How do these elite athletes enter competitions looking at workouts? And we had insight into a possible good workout for her, and I was curious what she thinks of for a possible bad workout. And maybe that gives a little bit of insight as to what Laura would have been thinking during that handstand push-up.
Oh, right.
Oh. A little bit
guys.
fodder for the elite athletes who might be watching your show. Like, what are they thinking?
1 second. I just want to close the loop on this because we talked about it earlier. And Becky from Instagram sent this over. So Cole Sager actually was born without 3 muscles in his right leg.
Wow. 27 important facts. I was named Cole Trickle from the movie Days of Thunder. Wow. I was born with 3 muscles in my right leg. Therefore, 1 cat. Wow. Okay.
So there
I'm
we go.
pretty sure that's a
mystery solved. That's off Cole Sager's website.
Where did you find that?
That's on
ColeSager.com.
Yeah.
His third was I have a goal to speak in front of 100,000 people. God, I have a goal to have something that's important enough to say. In front of,
impactful enough. Impactful.
Yeah, impactful enough to say in front of
important
100,000 people. We don't have anything scheduled for tomorrow, right? Might do a live call-in show. Might do a Hiller Fit review. Okay.
Yeah, we got a live call-in tentatively scheduled, so we'll see how it rolls. But I think that'd be good.
I would like to leave you guys with one. Nice. I'd like to leave you guys with one final look. Andrew Hiller in all these shows that I've always done. Oh, it's funny. I always put in Hiller Fit review instead of just Hiller Fit. You can go to Andrew Hiller's YouTube channel, which has more subscribers than mine.
I almost punched my computer on accident.
Just got so fucking excited.
You bringing it up? We got it.
Look at these puppies. Aren't they adorable?
Wow, you got another one. Don't watch this. Oh, that's awesome. This is Andrew Hiller's, most of you already know, YouTube page. He publishes every single day. It's always thoughtful, provocative. You can tell that every video he puts a shit ton of work into. He's very open to comments and very open-minded. He's always sharing. My new favorite series that he started is this Testosterone Tuesdays. I think, was that your first episode or second episode?
Second.
It's going to be a fun journey to watch him. And I appreciate cahormones.com also for spearheading the experiment. I appreciate Andrew letting me be a part of it. I appreciate you coming on every single show. These are, really, really long 4-day weekends. We basically have to be sitting in front of screens from the second we wake up to the second we go to bed. I will see you guys.
We should thank my fiance Alexis and Susan's wife Grace and Haley for putting up with us sitting in these rooms this whole time, right?
That's right. That a boy.
Someone's getting some tonight. Thank you, and I will see all of you guys tomorrow. By the way, a second thing: all the donations are not taken for granted. They are. I'll call Sousa after this and almost be in tears and be like, "What the fuck? I cannot believe how appreciative the community is." Thank you.
You don't even have to want to do CrossFit. You don't have to want to be a coach. You don't have to want to be a trainer. If you just want the operating manual to your body, it's not just Forge and Elite Fitness. It's the operating manual to the human genome. You'll take this CrossFit Level 1 seminar and you will walk away inspired. From the second you leave, your entire life will change. You will make significant changes to your life because you are excited. You will start tweaking with your diet. You'll start tweaking with your movement. You'll start tweaking with who you hang out with. Everything will take a shift. For some people, it'll be massive. For some people, it'll be a little bit. No matter what, you'll move towards a better life. Everyone is going to sense it in you that you are more accountable, more personally responsible, happier, more helpful, more thoughtful human being. And you'll be nicer to look at. You might talk too much shit about CrossFit, but